Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be talking to you about what to look out for when you're assessing different products on Alibaba.com, trying to determine what will work for your drop shipping. And I'm also going to be touching on what you should speak to when you contact suppliers and you're trying to get information about some products that you want to deal with. So thank you again for joining us. Remember to hit the subscribe button and also to hit the notifications bell. So you can be able to find any kind of item on Alibaba, as you know, and we've said before. And as I've always recommended, one of the best things to do when you're doing that is to favorite items that you find interesting so that you can be able to look at them later on. So let's say you have an item that you found interesting. For instance, here I've opened this page. This device calls itself, the title is New Upgraded 6-in-1 Hydrogen Oxygen Small Bubble High Frequency Facial Machine Beauty Apparatus Depth Cleansing Skin Care Face. Number one, never name your products like that. Nobody understands what the hell that is. Just use a simple name if you're the one who's selling that product on your own website or on your own e-commerce shop. Never use this kind of a name. It's a very bad idea. Just use a simple name that describes exactly what the product does. You don't need to write a whole composition. But right, we have that long name product and we like it and we think, okay, this is a good product for us to drop ship. Maybe I know a couple of guys who are dealing in beauty and all of that, and I can be able to pitch them this product. And I know a couple of people with salons, and I'm sure I can be able to sell and move maybe like 10 of these items in a month. Fine, I want to now figure out the details of this product. So the first thing that you should know, you should try and check is the lead time. And what is the lead time? The lead time is after you make your payment, how long before the order ships out? Because not all of these products that you find on Alibaba are ready to ship out immediately. Some of these products have a lead time. So you need to really be sure that you know how long will it take for the supplier to ship it out once you pay. So one of the things that you're going to be doing when you contact this supplier, if you decide to work with him, one of the first things you want to know is what is their lead time. Is that product available to ship immediately? If you pay for it, can they be able to do same day shipping? So those are some of the things that you have to really keep in mind when you are thinking of a product, especially to drop ship, because you don't want to tell your client who has bought a product from you that it's going to come in 10 days, and then the lead time for the supplier themselves is 7 days. That doesn't leave enough time for your product to get to your country. So always check the lead time with the supplier. Another thing that you basically also want to check is the weight of the item. Um, Sometimes it is explicitly written, so you can be able to browse the product page and product details. You can be able to check there and see what details are given: packaging and delivering, selling units, single package size, single gross weight. And these two parameters are important, the single package size and the gross weight. Because if you'll be shipping a ton of these products through maybe sea shipping and you'll be paying in cubic meters, then it is the size that matters. You need to know how big the box is and how many they fit in a bigger box and how many you can stack up. So you need to know this to calculate your CBM, your cubic meters in sea shipping. For air shipping, what is more important is the weight. So you need to know how heavy is one item so that you can be able to calculate if you ship it, how much are you going to pay in shipping charges. So you also need to basically keep in mind the actual price of the item itself, because if the price is already high and you're going to be adding in a ton of extra cost because of the shipping and everything, and then you still need to put your margin on top, the product might end up being too expensive for your target market. You must ask yourself, how much are my clients willing to pay for this item? And then you must now come and assess how much is the item going for. Number one, how much is it going to cost you to ship it in? Number two, And then now you also need to consider how long it's going to take for you to do that. Number 3, if you can be able to calculate those details, then you're in a better place to decide if that is an item that is worth dealing in, or it's going to be too much hassle for too little profit. Personally, as I always advise, there is no limit to the kind of product that you can deal with, because there are some people, high-end clients, who might be willing to pay top dollar for an expensive product. But if you're selling for the mass market, if you're trying to target a bunch of strangers on the internet who you don't really know and you want to appeal to them with a new product, I always suggest you try and go for cheaper products. As you can see, this product here is what? It's like $1888. That's like 19,000 Kenya shillings. And that makes it already expensive. Not a lot of people are willing to fork out 19K on impulse just to buy something. You can try and sell it to business people and try to convince them that they are going to recoup that money within a certain period of time. But you really have to have very good information on the return on investment for these guys to agree to buy this. Your ROI numbers have to make sense. But if you have an item that goes for about 2K and you can sell it here for about 4K, or something that you can be able to buy for 500 and sell it here for about 3,000, then that is a cheap item. A lot of people are willing to buy that on the fly. Somebody might be browsing the website or your social media pages or wherever, and they see it and they like it and they'll just buy it. But this expensive item, somebody really needs to like budget and have a plan before they acquire this. So try to stay as much as you can away from the very expensive items. Caveat: if you have a market that you know will accept those expensive items and you've spoken to people and they've shown interest, then it makes sense to go into it, because these ones also typically tend to give higher margin. If you're buying it at 18,000 and you're going to sell it for 23 or something thousand, you're going to make some good money on top. So you can always make more margins from these higher price items, but they move more slowly. That's something to keep in mind. Another thing to keep in mind are the unit costs of that item. As we've discussed here, we've looked at what the item itself will cost, and we've also spoken about what shipping it in will cost. And just to clarify, for those of you who are going to be working with us, we use a shipping agent that handles your customs and importation duty. So that $10.5 per kg that I mentioned is inclusive of both the shipping as well as the clearance costs. But fine, you've included the cost of the product, the cost of shipping it in. What other costs go into a product? Well, there are several other costs that go into the product. For instance, you have to consider the cost of shipping this product from the supplier who is selling it to you to your shipping agent. Because your shipping agent, like the guys who we work with, are located in Guangzhou, and maybe maybe your supplier is located in Guangzhou in a different part of the city, so the product has to leave their warehouse and go to the warehouse of our shipping agent. So there's a certain cost that is incurred there. That is the freight from your supplier to the shipping agent warehouse. That is number one. We've already looked at the cost of the shipping from China to Kenya, which we said is 10.5. That one you factored in, 10.5 per kg. That one you factored in. Once the product gets to Kenya, there are certain other costs that you have to think about. For instance, if the product will be kept in a shop in town and you'll be paying for a shelf rental service where people can be able to come and pick up that product when they buy it, you have to factor that in. If you are using a payment service such as M-Pesa, or you have some Visa or credit card or MasterCard processing facility, and they charge a certain amount of money for the processing of the transactions, you have to factor that in. If you're using services like us, we have our escrow service that provides you with a bunch of things to make you sell faster, you have to factor in the escrow fee. So when you're doing your unit costs, you have to factor in all the different cost elements that come into a product before you arrive at your selling price. And you have to do this before you decide to deal with the product. So you find a product, you calculate all of the different costs that are associated with handling that product, from the supplier to your final customer. And then after you've added in all of the costs, you're going to have the cost of the goods, COG. And that is now what allows you to decide if this is the COG, this is what my margin is going to be, and this is what the final selling price will be. So always do that calculation when you're deciding what to deal with, when you're looking for products to deal with on Alibaba. And only if that calculation makes sense and you believe that the amount you arrive with is something that makes sense both for you and your customer, should you now go ahead to then start dealing with the supplier in terms of trying to get invoices and whatnot. But initially, when you're contacting the supplier, what you want to ask about, clarification on details like the lead time, the weight of the product, etc. Use that information to calculate your unit costs, and you'll be on your way to getting a good product to dropship. So that's it for this video. What to look out for when you are picking items to dropship. So given that calculating the unit cost is a whole task of its own, I'm going to be posting a separate video on how to calculate unit costs and how to do pricing for your drop shipping. So keep an eye out for that video. Make sure you hit the notifications icon so that you get a notification when we post it. And I'm also going to be attaching a free giveaway, which is going to be an Excel spreadsheet with formulas that you can be able to use to calculate your unit costs. So be sure to follow our channel and to hit the notifications icon, and I will see you in the next video. Cheers.